Well, the Super Bowl may be over, but it doesn't mean we're any less busy. That's Jason Jewell. I'm Jared Cohen. This is the Recruiting Roundup, powered by Rock and Refuel Varsity. Signing day just a couple days away. It's finally arrived. We didn't have a roundup last week, so we have a ton of commitments to get to as the class of 2015 has really taken shape. Let's get to some of those, starting with, Yuma hadn't had a D1 athlete in quite some time. Now they have two that are committed to Division I schools. The most recent one is Donovan Rooks.
It's actually three. Abe Thompson from Cibola is committed to NAU, Matt Pistone to Boise State, now Donovan Rooks. He tripped up to Montana, did not have an offer in hand, had other offers from Air Force and from Army, got up there, took the official visit, they liked him, and he committed on the spot.
So congrats to Rooks. Now some sleeper prospects that really picked up a lot of steam over the last couple weeks, Jason.
Yeah, you look at two guys that I'm very, very high on, Sebastian Anderson and Skyler Clinton. Clinton's out of Prescott High School, not, kind of off the beaten path, not overly recruited at that school, but he ended up getting offers from Western Illinois and from Wyoming, tripped to both those schools the last 2 weekends, ended up committing to Wyoming just after the Super Bowl. Then you look at Sebastian Anderson. This is a guy that I really like. I like the story. He's 6'6", so he's 245 pounds, plays offensive tackle, but he's a guy, played wide receiver as a freshman and a sophomore, played defensive line as a junior, continued to balloon and grow up, got a late offer from New Mexico State, took a trip this past weekend and committed while he was there.
And speaking of New Mexico State, they got a great commitment from a running back, Mountain Point, Brandon Leonard, their workhorse, especially down the stretch in the playoffs.
You got to love that commitment. I thought Brandon Leonard was going to end up being a big-time prospect. The only offer he ended up having was from New Mexico State. Got some late interest from Fresno State, but was the only offer he had. Tripped there two weekends ago and committed while he was on his visit. I think the Aggies are getting a very, very good football player.
If there was any school that really kind of totally made their presence felt in Arizona, it's Air Force for this class of 2015, and they got another Arizona commitment.
Yeah, you got to like what they've done in the trenches. They got another, offensive line, defensive line kid, and Jeff Maycock out of Williamsfield. Thick, strong kid. I talked to Coach Campbell. Possibly he does go on his LDS mission before he enrolls at Air Force, but a late offer for him and a commitment right on the spot.
3 kids out of Peoria, starting with 2 from Liberty, committed to the same school at the next level.
Yeah, you got to love what Weber State did in getting Corey Wilson and Aaron Blackwell. I like those two guys. Wilson also had an early offer from Navy, and Blackwell is a guy that just turned it on this year, moved from offensive line to defensive tackle, and was unblockable at times. Getting those 2 kids to commit was huge for that program. Then you look right down the road at Sunrise Mountain, their safety, Tristan Decker. He committed to Western Illinois. The Leathernecks have done a great job recruiting in-state, recruiting the state of Arizona, and Decker, whose dad played at Western Illinois, is going to follow in his dad's footsteps and committed while he was on his visit there as well.
3 brainiacs of the 2015 class. They're going to the next level really for school, but get to play football at the next level as well, starting with Jack Haddon out at Brophy.
Yeah, he committed during the Super Bowl, so that kind of threw everyone's day for a wrench. But, landing a commitment from him. He had an offer from Air Force and from the University of San Diego. He's a guy that was injured, his junior season, played very well as a senior, and ends up getting those 3 Division I offers. Next guy you look at, Mitch Riley down at Push Ridge High School, linebacker, a small school guy that is a very, very good football player that I'm surprised didn't have some other scholarship offers. He had a lot of interest, but no other offers. And I like that, that commitment there from University of San Diego. The last guy we're going to talk about, J.W. Windsor, the defensive tackle at Chandler High School, commits to South Dakota School of Mines, going to go up there and play in the snow from the desert, but I think that's a good commitment for them.
Yeah, he's a hard-nosed player. He'll be used to the snow. It won't be much of an adjustment for him. Finally, Arizona Christian has a boatload of Arizona commitments, but we want to talk about a few of them that have happened in the last week, starting with Pinnacle's Kules Rose.
Without a doubt, I think landing Rose was the biggest thing for Donnie Yanis and that staff in the last 2 weeks. Getting Rose was just huge. He had a fantastic season. Is a guy that I think could play on either side of the ball. I know Yanis likes offensive firepower over there at ACU, so I think he ends up playing receiver for them. Was over a 1,000-yard receiver. Then you look at some of the other guys. I got Corey Anderson out of Skyline, another very good commitment, helped turn that program around. And then what other program to go to and get some players than Mountain Point. Norris Vaughn does a great job there. They got Vidal Daniels, the corner, Austin Pogue, the D lineman, and Tyree Shivers, the wide receiver, all committed to Arizona Christian.
So those are some of the latest commitments, Jason. Now let's look at some of the uncommitted or uncertain at this point of the 2015 class, starting with Cameron Johnson, who had a visit this past weekend.
Yeah, visited NAU, visited Montana last weekend. Word is that he's going to decide on signing day between those 2 schools.
And then next one, Taylor Powell, He was once committed to Nevada. What is going on with just a couple days before signing day?
Well, after he parted ways with Nevada, had a bunch of interest from schools like UNLV and Indiana State and Northern Arizona as well. The only school that he ended up officially visiting was NAU. Word was he was going to take a visit to Indiana State this past weekend. I don't think that happened, so I would not be surprised if Powell ends up being a Lumberjack.
And finally, Cassius Pete. Once committed to UCLA, then maybe decommitted. Now there's a chance that he might have never decommitted from UCLA. What's going on with Cassius?
I guess his father's gone on record saying that there was some confusion, that he never decommitted. At Scout.com, we've put him back in our database as a UCLA commit, so I expect him to sign with the Bruins on Wednesday.
That's it for this week's edition of the Roundup. We'll have reaction to signing day next week, as the busiest week of the year in recruiting is going to come and go very quickly. That's Jason Jewell of Scout.com. I'm Jared Cohen. This has been the Recruiting Roundup, powered by Rock and Refuel Varsity on Sports360AZ.com.